Welcome to the Me Show Mission, Two Men, One Podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Len, aka the Bat Tribble. And as always, I'm joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are kicking off the road to 300 with episode 275 as we sit down to review Vincent's selection, Jungle Fever from 1991, directed by Spike Lee, starring Wesley Snipes. I'm about to say Wesley Spikes. Snipes.
That's somebody different.
You just named the movie. You know, the director and the star. You know,
that's somebody different.
Wesley Spikes. You know,
joining us tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is our very, very special guest, comedian, actor, and author.
Yeah,
of a new book, Living in Color. What's funny about me? Missionary, show your love to Tommy Davidson in the building. What's up, Tommy?
How are you, sir?
I'm glad to be here, man. I love when people talk about me. You know, there's a lot of cats out there. You know,
right? Well, you're in the right place.
Got it. There's a lot of cats, boy.
Yes, and speaking of all the cats that are out there, one special cat indeed, I hope you, Tommy, will join me and the rest of the missionaries in wishing a very happy birthday to my partner, Vincent Williams.
It is indeed my birthday.
Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you.
Now, it doesn't make much sense that a brother that's named Vince doesn't even wince when you mention that today is his birthday.
Now you understand that that's going to be taped, and I'll be looping that for the rest of my life. So thank you for that.
That was a match, you know.
Henceforth, whenever it's my birthday.
Nice.
Now, how does that copyright work? Remember, like it's weird how you go to restaurants and they used to sing the weird happy birthday song because they didn't want to pay the copyright fees, and now everyone can sing happy birthday.
Cop?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how that works.
TGIF, you know.
Right. I always wondered that. So
you never know. There's secret shoppers all over the place, so there could be.
All right, write that. I'm writing that one down.
So, I'm not going to put it above anybody,
for that
type of stuff.
Yeah, anything these days.
Most definitely. Tommy Davidson is here today, ladies and gentlemen, and like I mentioned, he's got a great book that's out.
Yes,
Living in Color. What's Funny About Me is available in bookstores everywhere. And Tommy, I'm just going to start off right off the bat because I was already a fan of yours. No bullshit, but
thank you, man.
But I became a bigger fan when laced throughout the book, you were naming not one, but two of my forever heroes in Sammy Davis Jr. and Bruce Lee. Up and down in this book, man.
Hey, all right. There you go. Man.
That is real talk, man. So I just want to ask you right off the bat. That's what I want to ask you. When did you lock on both of them as heroes that you will emulate for the rest of your life? It's if you read the book.
Right. I didn't lock on Sammy Davis Jr. until I was an adult trying to get his movie done for the last 24 years. I didn't know how brilliant. I didn't know how amazing. I know how skillful and natural and how compelling of a superstar.
Yeah.
And also a revolutionary black man. I mean, a Renaissance black man. I didn't realize any of that until I started studying him like 24 years ago, trying to get the movie. Bruce Lee, I discovered probably about 72. You know, down in the movie theaters on 42nd Street in New York.
Yeah.
You know, and one movie did it. But I locked in on him probably about 20 some odd years ago when I started really listening to his interviews.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Right.
I started really listening to what he had to say.
Mm-hmm.
And what he had to say was so similar to the things I had to do to get to where I wanted to go.
Right.
You know, like he talked about if you express yourself as a human. But he had this objective duality about himself where he can see the other side of things.
Right.
Like he said, for instance, the question to him was, you know, what do you think about the fact that they canceled Kung Fu because it was too Chinese?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, if I were the man with the money, I would do that too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would do that. But man, if you express yourself as a human, your destiny will unfold.
Right.
Right.
He was saying this before Enter the Dragon.
Yes, he was.
Right.
Yes,
See?
he was. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the metamorphosis that went into Enter the Dragon was one of those things where he was able to take an L, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that was his baby, right? He was able to do that, and he was also able to take advice and be absorbent of new information.
Right.
Right.
Because his friend told him, maybe you're too big for the little screen TV. So why don't you go back to Asia and do those movies that they do over there and then come back? And he listened. It was James Coburn told him that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's right. James Coburn, one of his his students.
Right.
His students, yeah. So he went back and sat down in front of the owner of Golden Harvest. He said, I've seen all your movies. Is that the best you can do? I feel sorry for you. The guy put him in the movie just because he was that cocky.
Yep.
Right.
1/3 into the movie, they made him the star.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Right.
So it's those kind of things that helped my career.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of things that helped me as a person were just his philosophy of fighting without fighting, you know,
Yeah.
and be water.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, be water. Water can crush. It also can be absorbed. You can also penetrate it and be in it.
Mm-hmm.
It can take on different temperatures. He said, be that. And if you can look at my career and all the things that I've done, you can't say I ain't been water, boy.
Oh, which comes to something I wanted to ask you. There's a point towards the end of the book where you talk about being in another country and seeing your face on a screen, just a rerun. You know, I think it was the Martin rerun.
Yeah.
And I have to say, just as a presence, you are ever present just around, certainly my house, because I have a daughter. And the Proud family is something that she grew up with. And just as the father on the Proud family, I was just wondering how do you think that fits into, again, this really, again, not like Lynn said, no bullshit, iconic career, like you think about In Living Color and everything in the movies, but then you have this whole new crop of fans.
Yeah.
From the Proud family and from your voice work. Because of course we'll get to Black Dynamite.
All roads lead to Black Dynamite for Vincent. I'm just letting you know. Wait a minute.
You see us?
Wait, Tommy. When we found out you were going to be, I was like, Vincent, Tommy Davidson is going to be cream corn. I said, yes, Vincent. Cream corn is going to be, that's all he's been talking about.
Because he's running things. He's running things.
I'm running things. Bitch, you see us? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just adding to the loop. You do realize you just added to the loop.
Hey, it's a birthday loop, man. What can I say?
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, but how has the Proud family really fit into your legacy, do you think?
It's one of those just rewards of some really hard work. I went in for the audition.
Mm-hmm.
They just sent me the picture. My audition was, how does this guy sound? You know what I mean? In the picture. And I said, all right. I went in the booth and they said, "That's it, you got it." I did it for like 40 seconds, man.
Really?
They were like, that's stop. That's him. You know, that's him. And we just went hard with nobody around. You know, there's no frills in the voiceover. No one's around.
Right.
It's just you, the script supervisor, and the director. It's just you and them. And went in there and grinded out the work. I was blessed to be around some brilliant people, Ralph Farquhar and Bruce Smith, who did the animation, Ralph, who produced it and hired writers and ideas and all that stuff. I just happened to be really fortunate to be a part of something revolutionary. Now, a black animated show for Disney is also revolutionary.
Amen.
We almost absolutely.
I can't remember if I put it in the book that we almost lost that show. The whole cast.
No, I don't think.
Right. You talked about the issue with the movie.
Is it the movie?
Right.
That's what you're talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
You did talk about that.
And I was glad that I was able to mention that. Because that was a moment where racism plays out. You know?
Right.
So you have a show that's influenced children all over the world. Right?
Right.
And it's a black cast. So we're saying they're going to do a movie. Right? So we're saying we're down with the movie. But if it goes to theaters, just give us the basic union increase. And they said no. And if you don't like it, you can go find another job. And everybody just quit.
Right.
And so what I did was I called everybody. I told Ralph, put everybody on conference call or whatever. You know, I don't remember how we did it because now it's new technology. But I just said, hey, listen, there's not a show of color, animated color in the world as we speak. You know, us taking L for this is going to pay its dues because we're going to be able to infuse a whole new generation of black folks that didn't have to be without this. And that's how
absolutely correct.
Your daughter, my daughter is 28. She grew up. My other one is 33. They grew up with the Proud family, man.
Well, my daughter is 16 and she grew up with it.
Yeah, because it's been living in syndication.
Right, because it's been living, like you said, it's lived on.
So it's important. It's a really important piece. And the important piece is this. The European, this is subject. No, this is truth. The European perception of the African experience globally and in this world today views us as if we're outside of humanity.
Right. Yep.
As opposed to being part of humanity.
Part of it.
We're not like these people that came from a zoo somewhere.
Right.
We were people that actually are in your DNA. They're in there. You actually are us. In a different region. We left where we were because we were the only Homo sapiens that had all the skills it took to survive.
Right.
Neanderthal died off. The Peking man died off. You know, we're the ones that survived. There were some other little expeditions that happened, but then there was an ice age. You know, so we're part of humanity. Now let's go to 20th century, 21st century. We're part of society too.
Yeah, no doubt.
And Proud Family reinforced that we're a part of society.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're a good integral part of society because as a population, for what we've gone through, but the most important thing that we've gone through is that we have made the European world. We built the opulence and the position of power for them financially.
Right.
Yet we are not on that one. We're on a Love Jones, boy. Because you know, Chloe won the dance contest.
Yeah.
I mean, Zoe won the dance contest. You know, and nobody was tripping.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? We easily claim that in an animation, right? We could have easily claimed that and been legitimate for doing that. But
right.
The producers and all of us are aware that our effect on other people is something that we love.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Right.
We love that.
It helps sustain us.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely.
Yep.
It's interesting.
We can take all this happiness we got and put it on some other folks. It'd be a whole lot of happy happening.
How about that?
It's interesting. In that moment, you were akin to, who was it? Martin Luther King, when he talked to Nichelle Nichols when she was thinking about leaving Star Trek, and he talked to her and said, "No, we need you on there. We need to see you. People need to see you out there in space," and reinforcing that importance and reinforcing that importance of the Proud Family, which it's easy to think that it's just this cartoon, but it's so much more, and it means so much more. So that's really dope. Yeah, it's really dope, man. You know, just take your moments. That's cool. Let me ask you, Mr. Davidson. Okay. Your book, which goes throughout your entire career, right? And highs and lows, you know, and what I appreciate, there's two things that I appreciated about your book, you know, besides the Bruce Lee and Sammy Davis Jr. mentions, is that one, that it is in first person. So it reads like, you know, I'm hearing Tommy Davidson in my ear as I'm reading it, right? So, and I appreciate that because, you know, while there is a co-author, it still sounds very much like your words, right? And then the other thing I appreciate is that you're unsparing in how you talk about your highs and your lows, with some self-deprecation and some self-criticism about yourself. And I appreciate that. And I wonder, when was it that you locked on that your story you felt was a story that needed to be told out there to the masses?
Say that.
When did you lock on that, you know, my story, looking back on how I've lived my life, what I've done, is a story that needs to be told out there to the masses? When did that moment?
When I realized that if it wasn't for others who loved me so much, I wouldn't be where I was. And especially through the worst times.
Right.
And they weren't people that knew me. A lot of them were people that knew me. They were just people that just loved me just cause.
Right.
You know, and taught me how to live with some things that I had picked up along the way. And taught me how to get past them too. So if they taught me one-on-one that, then what if I did a book and I multiplied that with the number of people that the book reaches? My mom, you know, we were on welfare and we used to go get groceries, and that was a happy time, man. But she started sending kids home with food. And I was like, what are you doing? You know, she sends, some of the kids were so small they could only carry a carton of orange juice.
Right.
I was like, what are you doing? And she would look at me, she would go, you don't tell me what to do. She said, you got what you need. She was trying to show me the universal law of exchange, but I was too young to understand that. So once it got to me that that was the deal, I wanted to put it into a piece of work of mine, and not a piece of work as in the book and the literary content of that, a piece of work, elbow grease, a piece of labor that was mine. You know, I can transcend the position that Europeans have put us in this country, where we haven't been paid fully for the work.
Amen.
But just starting from ground zero and doing the work, you know, and doing the work. So I put my work into that to get into someone else's hands that would have something that you can't spend out.
Yeah.
You can't spend it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think what I like the most just throughout, you know, certainly as Lynn said, you see your entire journey. But I think that was what was so striking to me as someone who has read quote unquote celebrity memoirs and celebrity biographies is that even after you attain a level of success in the narrative, there's this humanity that runs through it. Where even though just because of where you were,
right? I'm glad you got that. I'm
even,
glad it happened that way.
Just because of where you were, you see these names. These Keenan Ivory Wayans, these Jamie Foxxes, these Jada Pinkett's, these Halle Berry's, but these are real relationships. Like it really comes across like these are all people that you know. And
right,
it's not all
these are events that really happen, right?
Right, exactly. Like it's not all we were hanging out.
It's not name dropping,
right? Exactly. You're not name dropping. Like these are actual relationships, and it does that. Just again, that sheer humanity came through.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, especially when you talked about your. Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go.
I mean, it's one of the hardest parts of being able to talk about some of my falls was the fact that there's something deep inside me that doesn't want other people to know I'm not perfect. It's unattainable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I could really see that you can't live up to that.
Yeah.
I guess the closest that I can come to perfection is revealing the truth of myself.
Right. Well, I've always said, man, there's nothing in this world that is more inviting to another person to relate and to engage with you than to just be 100% honest about who you are and how you are presenting yourself, because you can't have no control how they're going to receive it. So you might as well just be you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why I appreciated you putting all the warts out there, especially considering, because I did not know, going into the, reading the book about your relationship with Jada Pinkett Smith and exactly how that played out for the good and sometimes little like rocky in your career, because a lot of times, yeah, man, yeah, Tommy, I gotta tell you, bro, there's a thing called rehearsal. All right, when you're an actor, right? Actors like to go through rehearsal and they like to plan stuff out. They like to choreograph exactly what's going to happen on a set. And there was a time where a little bit of rehearsal would have gone a long way with you and Jada Pinkett, bro. Come on.
Yep, it would have. And I did find out. Here's the revealing part. I didn't find out that was the deal until the book.
Yeah, that's right, because you mentioned in the book you're not sure if she knew the whole.
I never knew that that's what happened.
Right.
Because I couldn't quite put it together. I was like, why is this happening to me like this?
Right.
And then I realized what happened, but I wasn't really sure that that's what happened.
Sure.
It absolutely wasn't. It absolutely wasn't until I wrote that paragraph and sent it to them and said, I can't use this in my book unless you guys approve this as something that happened.
Right.
And they did. And that's the moment that I knew that really happened.
Right.
All those years.
All those
years I had to go through wondering why that happened.
Right.
And how many people in this life, have all of these things that they don't really understand what happened.
Right.
And the only thing that they can really surmise is how they reacted to it or responded to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now
this is a little bit of a subject change. But speaking of things that I didn't know, I'm actually from the Baltimore D.C. area. I did not know they had comedy at the Penthouse.
They didn't until me. I'm the one that brought comedy to the Penthouse. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Boy, talk about a tough crowd.
Miracle.
Talk about a tough crowd.
A miracle took place. Hey, man, ain't nobody gonna beat what's displayed in there.
I was about
You know what I mean?
I mean, don't get me wrong.
That's the number one show of all time.
Right.
You ain't stepping over that. You know.
You are a very talented man, Mr. Davidson. But
put it this way,
it's a lot at the Penthouse.
Right. Put it this way, I think that if it was a better strip club, we wouldn't be sitting here.
The Penthouse is a strip club in the Baltimore, D.C. area, ladies and gentlemen, in the 80s and 90s. Famous for being infamous, from what I've heard from Vincent, and you will learn Tommy Davidson's book.
It's in the hood, man. It is like the worst. It is the worst. But I was ready for that from the start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which that's what shocked me, because this is proof that you can't judge a book by its cover. Because if you had told me, looking at Tommy Davidson, the guy that I see, in Woo and Strictly Business, Living Color, wilding it up, you'd have told me, if you asked me what was he like as a kid, and I'd have said Tommy Davidson was reading comic books. He was this big geeky kid, running around. No. Tommy was, ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Davidson was straight hood. He was a straight hood. I'm scared of Tommy Davidson. Like I don't not want to know that was Thomas Davidson. He became Tommy.
Right.
He was Thomas Davidson on the streets, man.
Right. Yeah, that didn't mean I kicked everybody's ass, neither. That means I absorbed a whole lot of ass whippings.
Right.
It don't make me no tough guy. But what it's done for me is it's made me pretty truthful about what I face in this life.
Mm-hmm.
Just I can look back at incidents, things that happened to me, and things that happened to others, and be grateful for someone being safe from harm.
Right. Yeah.
When I see somebody, going, and doing that, I'm like, you could get killed doing that.
Right.
You can get killed saying, I'm a whipping motherfucker. Hey, I'll put your mom in, all that stuff. You can actually get killed by just that, having that whole thing coming off of you.
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing coming off of you. They talk about in the Bible, that Satan roams around like a lion. You know what I mean? Looking for someone to devour.
Right.
And that thing, I'll see that. Usually when I see that, I don't think it's that authentic, because people who are like that don't show that.
Right.
Because they know what comes at it. So they carry themselves totally different. It's like Bruce Lee, I thought I told you to come in uniform, and he just looked at the guy. And the guy was like,
okay. Okay.
But there's some real, I'm talking real though. I'm talking about when you expose yourself to people who don't have anything to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
When you expose yourself to individuals who don't have anything to lose, then it's easier for them to take your life.
That's true.
Yeah.
You see? And we already dealing with, a certain population that doesn't want us alive anyway.
Right. Right.
So then you increase your chances.
Right. You put yourself more in the bullseye. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Right. And it's not that whole equilibrium and that whole thing like that. That's a genuine response from us to a society that makes us that way. It's just that you don't really see Polish and Germans, people of this backgrounds, Polish and Germans and Italians and Jews. You don't see them carrying on that way because after World War II, they had 4-H Club, Boys Town. They had the Boys Clubs of America, Girls Clubs of America. They had Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. They had all of these government-funded programs, national programs, to get their kids out of the urban mind state.
Right.
Yep.
Period. And when they reflect on when they were like that, it's always looked at as heroic.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And so we mimic it, right? So we mimic that. We want to match that heroism that comes out of, that the gangster persona. But if you don't understand that the only way that those people could survive in this country was to be like that. Was to be like that. And so when we see them today, when I see them today, I always remember that that's what they come from too.
Right. Right.
You see the guy at the bank, hi, I'm Ward Smith, and you guys have, he's, if he's Irish, I saw a guy the other day, a real estate guy, really beautiful person, of course. I'm gonna show him your house and stuff, and I said, "You're Irish?" He said, "Yeah." So, he got to where he got through Campbell Hall. He got through where he got through New York City when they, did the Central Park project, and the Irish said, "If any black people work here, we're gonna have another riot."
Right.
And they are part of the gangs that were in Pittsburgh and in all the inner cities. Gangs. Okay. Polish gangs, Jewish gangs. Gangs. Gangs is not a black phenomenon.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Gangs is an outgrowth of a party.
Amen.
Amen indeed.
So you very rarely see whites, portrayed as gangs or as vandals or as negative people who are just going to take your wallet and bust you in the head with an axe handle. You know what I mean? Unless you look at some brilliant works like On the Waterfront.
Right. Well, I was going to say, it's only back then when it was only white faces.
Right.
Would you see it? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Grapes of Wrath. And those are the only things that we have that we can measure and use as a barometer. That's an economic problem and not a race problem.
Right. Yeah.
You see? And it's still an economic problem when it comes to us. Because the key to their whole submission of us as a society is economic.
Always comes back to money.
It's economically propelled. Ever since 1921 and they made a decision that there's not going to be no Black Wall Street. Ever since then, they made sure.
Amen.
There's only one Wall Street, but you don't see us there.
No,
not at all.
When we had our own, they came and took it.
You don't see a grip of brothers up in there, Wall Street. A group of brothers like, yo, let it go. You know what I mean?
No, No, you don't.
Make sure
you don't.
That's kind of maintained, you know.
We are talking to Tommy Davidson.
You know, our brothers, you know, out in front of, hold on. You know, NFL players, you know, they go up to the camera and do all this stuff. You never see brothers doing that outside of Wall Street, you know. You know. You know.
That would be funny. We're talking to Tommy Davidson tonight, ladies and gentlemen, who is joining us to talk about his career, and we're going to be reviewing the movie from 1991, Jungle Fever, written and directed by Spike Lee, starring Wesley Snipes and Annabella Sciorra. Tommy, we want to ask you about Jungle Fever, and I'm I want to be like, did you were you a fan of the film Jungle Fever?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of Spike's films. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that is, if I right, is the Stevie Wonder song "These Three Words" in that movie?
Yes,
yes,
that's
it is.
Right.
Yes, it is.
Right,
the entire soundtrack. Yes, he did. Yeah.
So Jungle Fever actually was, you know, a revelatory film about the ridiculousness of there being any kind of stigma against races having intimate sexual and personal relationships with each other.
Right.
Because the theme song to that whole thing is, when was the last time that I heard you say, mother and daughter, baby, I love you. These three words. Sweet and kind. Right.
Right.
So that was the theme song of it. So, you know, you're not going to pick a theme song that's not talking about the subject matter of the movie.
Right.
You know, we all became different shades. One shade was sitting across the river from the other shade, and the women said the guys look really good over there, and the guys said the girls look really good over there.
And then it kind of went from there.
Or a group of guys said the girls look good over there. Let's get rid of the guys.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess we should mention.
Take home from war, the first thing you take home from war is booty. So
that's yes. I mean we should probably mention, you saying you're a fan of Spike Lee. You actually starred in a Spike Lee film that the two of us have talked about previously and have great admiration for, and that would be Bamboozled.
Oh yeah, that's man. I wish more people would see that movie.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you can see that on Netflix. We need to research that. Can you see it on Amazon, or can you see it on Netflix or anything?
It is streaming. You can watch it streaming.
Is it streaming?
Yeah, it's streaming. I mean, I think you may have to rent it. I'm not sure if it's streaming for on a service, but it is it's out there digitally. Okay. Unlike Jungle Fever.
Discontinued in Blockbuster, they discontinued it in Blockbuster, and they blocked it in the theater after its third week or something.
Really?
Wow. I remember that. I remember because I had to go to New York to see Bamboozled because it was playing in Philly, just like Tommy said. The run was over very quickly.
Right.
And we actually drove to New York to watch it. Wow. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what it is about white America when it comes to people's artistic interpretation of realities. I don't know why, a movie like Schindler's List is welcomed.
Yeah.
And critically acclaimed and held in high esteem. And it's about something very bad that happened to some people.
Right.
And Bamboozled is shunned and thrown out of the theaters but it's the same thing. Something very bad that happened to some people.
Exactly.
Right.
So how come, when it comes to something bad that happened to us, why is that like taken out of the sight of Europeans?
Well, they want to control the
It's like
narrative
this
all the
whole thing
time.
that they're doing in. Yeah, I know they want to. It's an effort to do that, but there's something more. There's a deeper core to that. If you claim that you're humane, then take humane actions.
Right.
It's like the NFL, right? Great. Hold on. It's like the NFL. We were wrong. Okay, but you ain't really admitting it unless you hire him again.
Right.
You think they think I ain't noticed it? I noticed it. I was like, JC came in there and all that, and then the commercials came on, and people were really with that and all that stuff, but not one black person said, "Wait a second, excuse me, why aren't the owners hiring him again? He was right."
Right.
So there's always a little fiber there. You know what I mean? And that's something that I have faith about. Because if a black man get in the White House, then faith works, boy.
How about that?
I have faith that that's going to come to pass too. It's going to come to pass where, where justice is served.
Most definitely. We're going to let you get out of here. Vincent, I'm going to give you your cream corn moment. But first, before we go there, you got to
take that bologna, fry it into a dome, smush fry it.
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Wait, Vince. Wait. I know this is your birthday present, but wait. We just got one more question. We got a question from somebody in the chat from Farrell Blackwell who wants to ask you, Tommy, when will we see a 4-way versus between you, Eddie Griffin, Billy Crystal, and Don Cheadle battling it out over the best Sammy Davis Jr. impersonation?
Oh, I would love to see that myself. Let's put it together. Somebody put it together. Go to what is the thing where you raise money online? What is that thing called?
What?
Where they raise money.
Kickstarter. Yeah. GoFundMe.
Yeah.
GoFundMe. Yeah.
Yeah, Kickstarter. Funny. Somebody fund that. Put that together. I wish that was yesterday.
Well, you know what?
That would be a ball.
I will say, and I'm a fan of Billy Crystal. I really am. But I will say it always bothered me when he did Sammy Davis Jr. because I've seen you, Tommy. I've seen you here in Philly. First of all, real quick aside, ladies and gentlemen, get the book Living in Color: What's Funny About Me, for Tommy Davidson and all his stories, but also because of the love that he shows to Philly in that story, because Philly gives him love. So I just want to represent that. But it always took me out because when I did see you, I saw you at Helium nightclub. Your Sammy Davis was killing it.
Philly is my heart, man. I'm telling you, I did my best special there, in Philly. And I'm a Negroologist too. I'm a Negroologist, and I contend, all right, that Philadelphia black men are like among some of the smartest black men that we have out here. I don't know what it is about that city. I don't care how hood somebody is from Philly. Sit down and talk with them, and you're like, oh my God, this dude is smart. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the start of the Alfred AME way back. I don't know. I don't even know. But there's something in that water. There's something in that water, man.
Yeah, it is. I ain't gonna front. Shoot. All right, Vincent. Have your cream. Have at it. Go.
I just need to know, is the dream over? Is there no more Black Dynamite?
No, it's coming.
Oh.
Michael just called me yesterday. I mean, just called me like a couple weeks ago. He said, "Get ready, get ready. I mean, I'm gonna call you right away, but you're gonna have to clear your schedule. Get ready." I said, "I'm ready. I'm ready."
Tommy, I have to say, I watched the Michael Jackson episode. Shimon!
Oh my God! You know what?
I'm sorry, Michael Jackson. I'm sorry, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, sorry, Michael Jackson. Thank you, Michael Jackson. Thank you, Michael Jackson. Thank you, Michael Jackson. Let me tell you something, man. That was you know what's scary about that? It was the first episode.
Yes,
I know.
Yes,
I know. Yeah, I was like, hey, hold on, you guys. I was like, hold on, you guys, don't go that hard so soon. They're like, nah, man, we go hard to go home.
I was about to say.
Yeah, Rebe Jackson, when she was born, boom, she hit the door.
We always mourn Shimon over here. Poor Shimon.
Oh, Shimon.
Poor Shimon.
He still had the umbilical cord in. You know? That pound for pound, watch the animated series of Black Dynamite, and you would get more jokes per second.
Yes.
On the face of the earth.
Yes.
Anything on the face of the earth. This thing goes laugh, 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 laugh. Now we're done.
I was watching Black Dynamite with a friend. We were in the fourth episode. The fourth episode when she turned to me and said, "Are they saying orphanage?"
Yes. It is a home for whores and orphans. It's a orphanage.
Right. Right. And Black Dynamite cold with it. He's cold with it. Don't think I'm gonna suck the shit out of the kid. Now get him out of here before I get him in the ass. Now, back, you know what I mean? Black Dynamite, leave that nurse alone. She the one that came in here with them titties. You know what I mean? It's the best.
Yes.
We need to do a feature Black Dynamite, the cartoon.
Yeah.
That's what you need. That's what it needs.
Yes.
That's what y'all need to do.
So.
The film. I'm there for it.
Yeah. I mean, the future is so bright, but it's just Tuesday too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The future is bright, but it's just Tuesday too. A woman died at my show in Philly.
Oh no!
Wow.
Yeah, a woman died at my show. I was just talking to somebody, and they mentioned Philly, and I told them I invited that person to the show at a check cashing place on Sunday. She let me in. She cashed my check. She was so nice, and I invited her to the show. She said, "Today's my birthday." I said, "Well, why don't you come to the show?" She brought her kids. One was like 26, the other one was like 21 or something. 15 minutes in the show, she had a massive heart attack and died.
Oh.
And I got faith in mankind because there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Now, I was feeling some way about it for sure. And this black woman, really attractive black woman, walks up to me. There's a light in her eyes. And she says, "Isn't that beautiful?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Of all the ways that God could have walked her up to heaven, he chose you. It could have been a plane crash, cancer, whatever." And even though she told me that I was still feeling down,
Yeah.
And so I got on the plane and I saw Smokey Robinson. And I said, "Smokey, has this ever happened to you?" He said, "No." He said, "But I tell you what, invite all your enemies to your next show because you kill them, baby."
Oh,
I felt better after that, but it's just only Tuesday, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Amen. Thank you. It has been an honor. We are
got
fans.
it, guys.
We are fans. We love you.
Let's make this part one.
Oh no doubt. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. You say the word,
right,
man.
I was about to say
we would love to be able to
maybe it's your birthday. We'll do it on next. Maybe it's your birthday. We'll do it on next.
Oh,
okay.
All right. Get you in April. I'll see you in April, bro.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's a nice little span.
Okay. All right. We'll make it happen.
Right,
We'll
I'm here.
Happen.
I'm here.
All right. All right. Hold up the book one more time, Lynn.
Some great questions, man.
No, most definitely.
Yes.
The book, Tommy Davidson, Living in Color. What's Funny About Me? On sale everywhere. Everywhere you find a book. Look for a book, you will see this book.
Absolutely.
Look for it. Grab it. Great read. Great read. Tommy Davidson. I would be remiss if I didn't at least ask this, Tommy, if you would be so kind, if you could give us just a little word of saying that this is Tommy Davidson and you're listening to the Michaud Mission. Even if you want to do it in Sammy, you want to do it in Cream, whatever.
Yeah.
You go. Right. Go.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Ready?
Go.
This is Tommy Davidson, and you are listening to the Michaud movement. And hold on, I want to show you a real movement. Watch this. Movement. And I mean that, man.
Tommy Davidson, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you,
man.
Much love, man.
You.
Hey,
you too.
We got a date. Your birthday, bro.
All right.
We'll make it happen.
All right.
Most definitely. All right, brother.
All right, thank you, guys. Good work.
Yeah.
Good work. You're needed.
Thank
you, brother.
Thank you,
have
brother.
a good one.
All right.
Peace.
Woo! All right. Yeah. Gotta take the headphones off now?
Yeah, actually.
All right.
Technically you can, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's much more natural.
Yes.
So,
Tommy Davidson.
Thank you once again, Mr. Davidson. Now, as he said, we just do the work.
We'll do the work. Get him back here in April.
Hey, yes. But yeah, ain't no trailer talk, ain't no list.
No, ain't no trailer talk. We're just going to get right into it. And thank you for all of you in the chat who were out there listening and giving. They were saying that versus would be awesome.
Yes, it would be.
Love that. Said it was a great conversation. No George Kimona. We didn't ask any Ace Ventura questions. I know he was in Ace Ventura, but hey, maybe in April. You know, so. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
But before we get into our review, you know, Tommy Davidson was here. He was plugging his book. And Vincent, if you would be so kind, I have a little project that I would like to plug.
Please do.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have started, because I'm a glutton for punishment, another podcast. It is called The Rule of Man, available at theruleofman.com and everywhere the good podcasts be. It is where I and my best friend Calvin sit down with a group of men or, you know, cisgendered individuals who identify as man.
Okay.
Put it that way. And we talk about, we answer actually the questions of the world from the world of women.
Okay.
The first episode just actually went up yesterday on Monday, where we answered the question of, you know, what is our biggest fear for the future or next generation of Black men?
Okay.
It proved to be a very fun, interesting, and lively conversation, and I hope you check it out. The Rule of Man podcast, available everywhere that you find good podcasts. So
excellent.
Check it out and look us up on all the social medias, The Rule of Man, like us, follow us, all that type of stuff. Okay. All right. Okay. Ready for our review?
Hey.
All right. I gotta
do the work.
I gotta technically give a little bit of a pause. Jungle Fever, a 1991 American romantic drama, written, produced, and directed by Spike Lee. The film stars Wesley Snipes and Annabella Sciorra, Ossie Davis, Ruby Dee, Lynette McKee, John Turturro, Frank Vincent. In her film debut, Halle Berry.
Yes, sir.
Smaller roles for Tim Robbins, Brad Dourif, Michael Imperioli, Anthony Quinn. And last, but never shall he be the least, Samuel L. Jackson.
Man.
In the role that very likely made him the star that he is today.
Do you remember the first time you heard the song Scenario? And you knew who Busta Rhymes was. Like,
right.
He was in Leaders of the New School, but he was a dude in Leaders of the New School.
Yeah.
But then you heard him on Scenario.
And you knew.
And you said, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
In Jungle
Gator.
Right.
Yeah.
This episode 275, our first stop on the road to 300.
Here we go.
Is Vincent's selection.
Yes, sir.
Vince, what say you of Jungle Fever?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to acknowledge that you and I have been blessed over the past year, that we have gained a few more members here on the journey, on the Michelle Mission. So those of you who may be new to the mission may not have heard that Spike Lee is indeed my favorite filmmaker.
Yes.
And he is so much so my favorite filmmaker that the boast that I've made over the years is that I will take Spike Lee's first 5 films, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And I will put them up against any other filmmaker's first 5 films.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they aren't filmmakers who haven't made better films than Spike Lee. I'm not saying that they're not overall better filmmakers.
Right.
But what I am saying is for 5 right out the box, I'll put them up against anyone's 5.
First 5.
Mm-hmm. Really 6, because the 6th film is Malcolm X. But 5 sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Of those 5 films, Jungle Fever is the 5th.
Right.
And I think Jungle Fever is a great film. However, of those 5 films, Jungle Fever is the film that I think you can really start to identify some of the challenges that come out as Spike Lee's career goes on.
Gotcha.
First and foremost, I think this is the first film that you notice he starts to stuff it a little bit. This is a film, it's about the interracial relationship between the character Flipper, played by Wesley Snipes, and Angie, played by Annabella Sciorra.
Sciorra.
Flipper is an an architect. She plays a temp secretary. The two of them end up having an affair. And that's the center of the film. That's what the film is titled.
That's it.
That's the cover, the whole thing. And from this central narrative, it kind of builds out.
Yeah.
Flipper is married to Drew, played by Lynette McKee. So you have a bit of a domestic drama just between the two of them. They actually live in a brownstone above their neighbors and friends. You have Cyrus, played by Spike Lee, and Cyrus's wife Vera, played by Veronica Webb. So that's it's a little bit of a story there. Angie comes from Bensonhurst, and she has her own family as well. She has 2 brothers and a father, so there's a little bit of a narrative there. Flipper, again, is an architect. There's a germ of a workplace drama because he wants a promotion and they're not giving him a promotion. And there's a bit of that there. Flipper's parents, played by Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee, as the good Reverend Doctor Purifier. Well, really the good Reverend Doctor, and then Ruby Dee is his mother Lucinda.
Right.
And then, as we've mentioned, Samuel Jackson plays his older brother Gator.
Right.
And that's a whole narrative.
Yes.
Angie has a boyfriend, played by John Turturro as Paulie. Paulie runs a drugstore. Paulie's father is played by Anthony Quinn. That's a bit of a story.
Yes.
There are people who come into the drugstore. That's a whole story.
Yeah, right.
Tyra Farrell is a black woman who comes to the drugstore. There's the seed of a romance
between her and Paulie.
So there's a lot of story. And because of that, it's 2 hours and 12 minutes. So it's not a short film.
No.
But it's certainly not long enough to give enough attention to all of these stories. And it's a shame because there are stories here that you really want to see more of. So, and again, that's something I think you see in Spike Lee films as time goes on. Speaking of narrative challenges, this is a film that really, there are these plot choices, these plot moments that you can tell kind of happen just to move things along.
Okay.
You know, when Flipper has the affair, he tells Cyrus about it. And I just have to say, like, not even as just as a man, you always know, like, there are two types of men. There are men who tell their wives everything, or there are men who keep secrets. And you know who these men are, and you treat them accordingly.
Yes.
According to the film, these two are old friends.
Yes.
So Flipper knows that Cyrus is going to tell his wife things.
Yes.
And yet he tells her about the affair.
Tells him about the affair,
which then blows up his life.
Right.
Because the film needs his life blown up. There is a moment where where Flipper and Angie are play fighting that turns into an incident with the police, but it's so artificially constructed to get to the police.
Yes.
You can tell that Spike Lee just sort of needed this spark.
Yeah, needed something there.
That wasn't there. And then we've talked about this before with Spike Lee's endings. This is a film that doesn't really end.
No.
It just kind of peters out. So those are and then Spike Lee's Italians. There are a couple of scenes with some Italians where it's like, okay,
which is Angie's family primarily.
Well, Angie's family, and I have to say, I actually didn't mind her family, except for, that very graphic scene where her father beats her. But, they were just sort of meatheads.
Brothers.
Her brother, like she lives with her two adult brothers and her dad. And you get the sense that her mom has died, and now it's just these two meathead brothers and her dad. I actually didn't mind. Like that kind of rung true. Like if you kind of know family dynamics like that.
Okay.
Like these two kind of overgrown men living in the house with the dad. But the Italians that come into John Turturro's drugstore are just they're not even caricatures. They're just sort of sketched out. And I do have to say, just historically, the film is very much a post Yusuf Hawkins film. And Yusuf Hawkins was a young black man who was murdered in Bensonhurst, a very heavily Italian-American era. And emotions were very, very high in the 90s with Black Italian-American relationships, especially in New York. This is a film right after Do the Right Thing.
Yep.
But having said that, I hold that against Spike Lee because I know he's capable of more subtle work when he kind of pulls it in a little bit. I mean, even in this film, talking about narratives that don't get enough space, I think Anthony Quinn's character, John Turturro's father, is just as racist as the other characters, but it's not frothing at the mouth.
No,
like you get like I love when he finds out John Turturro's character is dating a black girl. He said, ain't gonna be no brown sugar in here. And it's like this very heavy Anthony Quinn accent. So there's these kind of cracks. But there's so much that I love about this film.
Okay.
There's so much that I love about this. Just on the level of technique. By his fifth film, Spike Lee, I mean, he's a master. Like he's a master craftsman. Just scene to scene, the establishment of place, the way he kind of constructs the scenes, the blocking of the actors, whether it is Ozzie Davidson, Ruby Dee's house, this house, and the way he establishes it as this house of two older religious Black people, whether it is John Turturro's drugstore, which has this wonderful lived-in old drugstore sensibility about it.
Right. And this is the old drugstore when the drugstore was like a soda shop.
Right. I mean, it's an old Brooklyn drugstore. Like, you can tell this has been a drugstore probably since the 50s. Everyone talks about it. It's the showiest set piece in the film, but it absolutely should be celebrated. There's a moment where Flipper has to go find his brother Gator in a crack house. And it is this extraordinary set piece with, Stevie Wonder's, Living for the City playing over it. And, this is 91 at the height of crack. So you have him going in and finding it. Talking about a set piece and extraordinary moments. There is a scene after Flipper is found out where his wife, Angie, basically gets her girlfriends together.
Yep. Has a war council, as Cyrus calls it.
As Cyrus calls it, a war council. And it is raw and emotional. And frankly, by my experience, hearing some Black women, not all Black women, but some Black women talking about this issue of Black men and white women, it is pretty on. Like, this is a real thing. And just technically, one of the best decisions Spike Lee makes with this scene is 25 takes, highly improvised. Apparently, he pulled back completely and just let these actresses go.
Right.
So you've got our beloved Phyllis Stickney in there, Teresa Randall is in there, Lynette McKee is in there,
Veronica Webb.
Like, there's just a bevy of Black actresses. And they're talking about the social aspect of it, the historical aspect of it. There's a bit of colorism like, you can tell it's unscripted, because when, one of the darker actresses talks about colorism with Black men and Black women, some of the lighter actresses, including Veronica Webb, who is not the most accomplished actress, so her poker face isn't what Lynette McKee's poker face is.
Yeah.
So when that one actress starts talking about colorism, like, you can see on Veronica Webb's face, she's like, oh, I didn't know it was going to go this way. But it's just, it's this extraordinary scene. The performances, ironically, to be in the center of the narrative, I feel like Wesley Snipes is almost a supporting actor in his film. I would say the same about Annabella Sciorra, but I like her in the scenes with John Turturro.
Yeah.
Like, I really like there's this real sweetness of the two of them together. And the one scene at dinner with her family.
Right. Yeah.
I really like the camaraderie. I like I like the spirit of it. Likewise, and speaking of narratives you don't get enough of, I wanted a whole movie of John Turturro and Anthony Quinn. Just a whole movie of this relationship, and John Turturro kind of living his life, or this semblance of a life, because he has to do with Anthony Quinn tells him to do. This is one of, I believe, Anthony Quinn's later roles. Like, one of his last roles. But you see why Anthony Quinn is Anthony Quinn.
Amen.
Like the man is a legend, and you see why he's a legend even at this point of his career. Yeah,
because he's not in the movie long at all.
Speaking of which, look, I think this may be my favorite Ruby Dee role. Ruby Dee's mother talking about women navigating through these families with three men. Ruby Dee's mother and wife kind of negotiating this space between her drug addicted son, her husband, who is a hard man, Gator, who's just sort of adrift, and you see her scene to scene just trying to hold it together, trying to keep the peace. You get these wonderful moments where Spike Lee grants her space by herself, where you see her frustrations, you see her sadness,
silent frustrations,
you
and
see
sad.
all of that. There's this great moment at dinner where Ozzie Davis's character invites Flipper and Angie over, and Ozzie Davis's character is the hard one, the overtly hard one. But I love the fact that Ruby Dee has these silent blades. Like when she says to Flipper, "Have you met her family?" And it's so innocent and it's so sweet, but boy, the knives are out, because she knows exactly what she has said. And then when he doesn't, when he kind of doesn't take that bait, then she, cuts a little deeper. Well, did he tell you about his wife and his daughter? And and she's so innocent, and she's so, but it's all there. We mentioned it when it opened. Samuel Jackson is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson steals this entire movie.
Yep.
He steals this entire movie. And I have to say, again, speaking of anecdotal, and you can't use anecdotal as proof, this is the most realistic depiction of a drug addict I have ever seen on film. The charm, the emotional coercion, dare I say terrorism, the menace that is right under the surface until it's not under the surface is phenomenal. He is absolutely phenomenal in the role of Gator.
Yeah.
And the pluses outweigh the minuses so much that while I do again think that this is the least of the best, I still land on this is great. I love this film.
Well, it's easy to see, first of all, just to speak about Samuel Jackson and his depiction of Gator. If you read his story, it's easy to see why he is so mesmerizing in this role, because he is basically performing his life as it was not too long before he got this role. He was, I think, no more than a month, maybe even less time out of rehab for his own addictions when he took on this film. And when you do the research, you find that he was able to bring some of his own nuance, his own experiences to the role, to the script, and to some of the scenes, with, Spike's permission, to really give his character that full body in even the very little amount of screen time that he has in this movie. So I think that's the reason why he does steal that, the scenes that he's in. I think it's also the reason why, as I see that Sharon Eldridge mentions in the chat, Gator is the name you remember from the movie. I knew Wesley Snipes. I knew Annabella Sciorra. I couldn't have told you their names. I believed I knew Angie's name. And when I heard it, I was like, now I know why I always thought I knew her name, because around the time that this came out, I was actually working with an Italian whose name was Angie Bucci. Okay. So because we joked about that. So yeah, it makes sense that he's the person that's the character that pops, right? It also makes sense that scene with the quote unquote war council that you mentioned, that pops because, again, that's another moment where Spike Lee pulls himself out of the situation, because you have to imagine that he wrote this film, and despite everybody having their own dialogue that sounds kind of, true to an Italian or a black guy or whatever, it definitely still does sound like Spike's ear. That scene, you can tell it's improv because it doesn't quite sound like it's all Spike's ear. It does sound a little bit more natural in the way that it's being read and some of the things that are being said. And I think that is the reason why that scene resonates so strongly and stands out so powerfully. The other reason why it stands out so powerfully is because, unfortunately, in my eyes, that is the only real scene that does the heavy lifting that this whole film purports to do, which is to explore this relationship between a black man and a white woman. It's there on the poster. It's there in the Stevie Wonder opening song. It's there. That's what this movie is going to explore. But like you say, the film is stuffed with so much narrative in there that not only does Wesley Snipes become more of a supporting player, that whole storyline just becomes basically the branch from which everything else is hanging and pulling it down so that you don't even notice the branch. You don't notice that story. There are moments we're meant to believe that Wesley Snipes goes from being a bit dismissive and upset that Angie has been hired to be his assistant because he requested that if there was going to be another assistant, that she be African American. We're meant to believe that he goes from that to within what feels like a short amount of time to not only accepting her, but developing some type of romantic feelings for her, right? And while there are moments where you see them through a series of like late night eatings where they kind of like start talking to one another and they slowly get closer and closer to one another, and that's all well and good, but it feels very rushed. It feels very I think the time lapses don't really do the story any. It doesn't serve the story to me. It feels like it's just a rush to get them to
get them to this,
to get them to the sex, right? And okay, if you're going to take that leap, all right, that's fine. At some point, I'm figuring you're going to put the brakes on and let's really explore what's happening here.
Right.
And you really never do, because every time you check back in on their situation, they're telling you what has happened, what is happening, but there's not a whole lot of showing what's happening. There's moments when, their relationship goes from them being hot and heavy to they're caught. Well, they're not caught, but they find out. Wesley Snipes is found out. Then the next thing, and he's kicked out of his house. He wants to get back with his wife, and there's a very good, memorable scene when he shows up at his wife's job. And he, with roses in hand, trying to, or at least appearing to, fall on his sword. She ain't got no time for it because she's got the war drum still in her head, and she's got no time for it. And God bless her. And it's dismissive of him. But we're meant to believe that when he leaves, he still is holding out hope that things will turn around. And yet the next thing we see is he's getting an apartment with the white girl, Angie, on his lap. So it's like, okay, which way is your heart really going? And you don't really explore that. It's almost like Spike, he wants to talk about this, but then he doesn't really want to talk about it.
Right.
And I think that is the shame of this movie the whole time I'm watching this movie, because there is so much to devour in that story, from what's going on in Wesley's mind, what's going on in Angie's mind, especially considering, like you said, the graphic beatdown that she receives when her father finds out that she is dating a black man. That is one of the most graphic scenes of violence, and never mind domestic violence, that I've ever seen, or I remember since I don't know when.
Yeah, it's a tough scene.
It is a very tough scene.
Yeah.
But the scary part about that is, okay, if you're not going to show any repercussions for the father because we don't really so much care about him and he's a pig or whatever, you don't even really see her deal with it. You don't even really see Wesley, engage with her about it at all. There's no real exploration of it. There's meat on the bone right there that Spike just leaves. Lynette McKee is left to be, they seem to have a very loving relationship. The film opens with her and her husband.
Yes.
Making love.
Yes.
Being in love the whole front of the film. And yet somewhere along the line, Wesley, falls for Angie, whether or not it's, the lure of, or curiosity of being a white woman or what. He kind of says that.
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily is it. The film doesn't, there are not necessarily any clues that say that's what it is, right? But let's investigate that. If you don't want to tell me dead on, that's fine. But let's investigate it. Let's investigate. Like, yes, do you get Lynette McKee, wailing and cursing and fuming with her girlfriends afterwards? Sure. Do you get her fuming at him? Yes. But then she leaves the movie.
Right.
She doesn't. And the next time you see her really is not till the end when they are back in bed.
Right.
Now it's a little bit of a different circumstance there, but that's a whole world that could have been explored. There's a lot of exploration, a lot of stuff that could be explored there. And I think Spike he doesn't take the opportunity to do that. Now, if you want to believe some of the theories about this movie, his father, Bill Lee, purported, or is rumored to have said that he believes that Jungle Fever is Spike's kind of like angry response to his father, divorcing his mother for a white woman.
I wasn't going to, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's out there, so I'm going to say it, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but we'll never know. And I think the argument that you could argue that possibly it isn't, primarily because he doesn't explore it hard.
Well, it feels like, if you want to follow that line of reasoning, it feels like an emotional lashing out.
Right.
And then he was more interested in other aspects of the story. Like you said, the branches pulling down.
Well, but it's not other aspects of the story. It's other stories.
Yeah, basically, right. Other stories.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can feel the weight of that domestic situation of his parents in Gator pulling at the film.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can feel, I mean, it really is like everything sort of is drawn to that. And I think that kind of speaks to what you're saying, because when you say, I forget how you just put it, like you started with he was interested and then he wasn't interested. In my mind, I feel like maybe he was interested initially, like, again, almost an emotional lashing out. And then once he got it out of his system, he wanted to do some other stuff.
Yeah.
But like, I gotta make a movie.
Right.
I gotta make this movie. And I will say this. I guess this sort of goes along with that theory, but also contradicts it. I really paid attention to the storyline with Tyra Farrell and John Turturro this time, which is also the budding of an interracial relationship. But it's treated much more gently.
Yes.
Than what happens in the main storyline. So I don't even get the sense that this is about Spike Lee's very strident anti-interracial relationship film, because there's another interracial relationship film story in the film that's actually quite sweet.
Yeah, but I don't think it's
not developed because, again, I think there are all these plots.
Yeah.
But even saying that, I do think there is a sweetness there.
There is. And I don't think this movie is anti-interracial. I think this movie wants to talk about interracial relationships. But I just think that I think the movie is scared to go there, you know? And that may be, like we have mentioned before in Spike Lee's films, that may be a little bit of uncomfortableness or clumsiness, shall we say, with some of his stories that more directly involve women, you know, Black women specifically, you know. And there is, I think this might be, you know, more evidence of that problem, even though it's not necessarily wholly a Black woman's story. But I think it's very interesting that outside of being angry, Lynette McKee is pretty much, you know, vacant from the movie, unless she is with Wesley and making love.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I think that's an
and then of course the one scene.
And then the one scene at the store.
Right.
But then again, that's her being angry.
Right. Well, I wouldn't just put her at angry. Like, I do think
she's angry, she's hurt. Yes,
right. And
yeah, there's a lot. But I just don't while I don't think the film had to center on her story, I think if you are going to have multiple stories in this film, that is a story that should be one of them.
And I do like Tyra Farrell's character.
I like her character too.
Not enough of her in this film.
I like her character too. I think, honestly, there's enough of her in this film to be that other side for John Turturro.
Yeah.
But you know, not for the sake of Lynette McKee's character.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
And I guess we've talked about Ruby Dee and Lynette McKee and Tyra Farrell. We should probably mention the other major African-American female
making her film debut. Halle Berry.
Another one of the greatest film drug addicts I've ever seen. She is fantastic.
Who would have thought that Halle Berry would be an outstanding drug addict?
She is fantastic. But you know what I realized? I'm glad we watched this after BAPS. She is such a great physical actor.
Yes.
Man.
Yes. I was watching this, and that's the same thing I was saying. I was like, it was all right there. It was the physicality. She's funny. She's funny. Her face is there. She's giving you all the emotion.
Flipper and Gator talking in the park, and she off screen.
Yes.
Muttering and talking.
Yes.
Crazy drug addict talk. I said, that damn Halle Berry is acting right now.
Yes.
But go tell me to get me under the eyeball. I said, is that her muttering off camera?
Oh my God. It was all there.
It's all there.
It was all there. The road less traveled.
It's a straight line from Jungle Fever to BAPS.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Amen. Yeah. So So I say all of that to say, and don't get me wrong, it's a gorgeous film. You can't knock Ernest Dickerson's,
of course not.
Cinematography. Cannot knock it. Stevie Wonder's soundtrack, Jungle Fever is like, can be like an earworm.
Oh my goodness.
These three words, just like Tommy Davidson mentioned, like a beautiful song. So I think that his soundtrack, Living Just Enough for the City is an older Stevie Wonder song, but it's perfectly placed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In this film. So much so that fans of that song will know that there are moments in the song, because it's a very long song, but there's a moments in the songs where you actually hear, street, sounds of the city in that song. And they perfectly overlay with the scene. That is in. It's spot on.
A set piece.
Yeah. It's so it's a beautiful moment. I remembered, and I hadn't watched this film in so long. And one of the things I remembered is that I remembered liking Wesley Snipes. I like Wesley Snipes as an actor,
of course.
But I remember liking Wesley Snipes' clothes. So watching this film again, I was like, now I know why I remember. She is a sharp dressed man in this movie.
Well, soon to be Academy Award winning costumer, Ruth Carter.
Amen.
Ruth Carter.
So the trappings of this film are all there.
Oh yeah.
But at the end, while I can say that this is a good film,
sure,
and I would, jumping the gun a little bit, I would recommend this movie.
Of course you would.
I at the end, I have very mixed feelings about the movie.
Look, I'm gonna say what I look. First five, I don't care. You look, pick them,
and the first five are:
She's Gotta Have It, School Days, Do the Right Thing, Mo Better Blues, Jungle Fever.
There you go.
I put them five up against anybody's first five. I don't care. You pick them, put them up. We watch these 10 films.
Okay.
I think this again is the weakest of those five. B, appropriately enough, as we were talking to Tommy Davidson, who was in a film that I think is an example of what I'm about to say, I think Spike Lee made better films than Jungle Fever after Jungle Fever. Including something like Bamboozled. But, just sort of, and I'll bounce off what you said about Ernest Dickerson. Like, this is still in that moment where like Spike Lee is in that pocket, that early pocket where he has Ernest Dickerson. He has Terrence Blanchard doing the scores. He has this kind of this Spike Lee troupe.
Right.
Of actors who I have to say, besides Giancarlo Esposito, like Giancarlo Esposito is my favorite actor from that Spike Lee troupe, that like early Spike Lee troupe of actors. But John Turturro is right up there with, like, I love John Turturro, except for Quiz Show. My favorite John Turturro roles are in Spike Lee films.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say like you didn't like.
No. Outside of what you're saying, right? Like, I like everything he did with Spike Lee better than everything he's ever done outside of Spike Lee, except for his performance in Quiz Show. And yes, I did see The Big Lebowski before anyone asked. So again, I think Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis are great in this film.
Yeah.
Coming off of Do the Right Thing, where I think that there's sheer perfection in Do the Right Thing, but quietly they don't have a lot of space together in Do the Right Thing. I think they're fantastic.
Oh yeah, I think they're
fantastic. And again, there is a subtlety to Ruby Dee's performance that I don't see a lot from her. So as much as you get the flash of Gator and quietly the flash of the Good Reverend Doctor.
Yeah.
I love how she moves in between these men. There's a wonderful scene where she sends Flipper to go find Gator. And Flipper is telling, my brother is a drug addict. Like there's nothing, but the strength, and look, you go find your brother.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so honest. Like it was such an honest moment between this mother and this son who's tasked with this, this fool's errand.
Yeah.
But you have to do it
because
I'm your mother.
That's right.
And there's this strength. There's that little bit, again, of this emotional, almost, leaning on the emotions, because she's no fool. Like she knows that I'm making you do this because I'm your mother. That I have the same reservations you have, but yeah, it's jungle fever.
It is.
It's jungle fever.
It is. Janine in the chat says that this film has some of Spike's best character moments.
Yeah,
she points out.
I 100% agree. And again, my frustration is some of those character moments, there just isn't enough room.
Yeah.
Dude, I could have watched a half hour of the office politics of that architecture firm. Tim Robbins
and Brad Dourif, basically for one and a half scenes of a movie.
And like you understand that whole
dynamic. Yep.
I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah.
Again, I mentioned Anthony Quinn. Anthony Quinn has this beautiful monologue about his wife. And that was a woman. And it's like, this is it right here. Like, I'll just go ahead and say it. I didn't need the interracial relationship.
That's the thing.
Like, I actually didn't need Wesley Snipes and Annabella Sciorra in the movie, frankly. Like, I liked Annabella Sciorra with John Turturro, but the two of them together, I was like, all right.
Well, the thing, I think that Annabella's character, by virtue of the world in which she navigates, is allowed to show more colors, more ranges.
Yes.
Because she has to interact with her family, with her father and her brothers. She has to interact with John Turturro's, John Turturro, and by proxy, the world in which she lives. Because even though she's not seen with those guys, her presence is there.
Sure.
Because you realize her relationship with John Turturro.
Sure.
And never mind her relationship with Wesley, which appears over the course of time to get rocky. We just never really see it. We're just being told that.
Yeah.
As opposed to Wesley basically just becomes the straight man in this movie.
Yeah.
Outside of the one scene where he kind of blows up at the architect at work, he really is just reacting. He comes home, his wife is throwing his stuff out. He talks to Spike. He really is a one note for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why you could get lost and happily lost in that world, because it just feels so much richer, so much more vital, and so much more authentic, because you're not allowed an authentic look into Wesley's world or his mindset, because even Spike Lee as his best friend is really not really doing anything. His exposition does.
Look, again, and it's just harping on it. Lynette McKee has as he mentioned, a great moment where she kind of, and I wonder how much of that is the script, where Lynette McKee talks about being a biracial woman, and
that sounded like Spike. That sounded like Spike.
Wow, I don't know, some of them names and the way she was. And the names didn't really make sense. Like I've said for years, when she said they call me white nigga white, I was like, this sounds like this is Lynette McKee right now. Like she kind of went down. But then when she says, you and Cyrus always date light-skinned women. You've always dated light-skinned women. That's what you've always wanted. And I was like, well, this is a moment. Like, this is the moment they're really going to unpack Flipper's colorism,
right?
But then, like you said, it's a thread that's never picked up.
Yeah,
and it's yet another moment where I'm frustrated by the overpacked plot so that there's no attention paid to if there were just less. But
yeah. If you will allow me,
okay,
a man moment,
okay,
and just say
yes
that as many mixed emotions as I have about this film, Jungle Fever, rewatching this film again, I do have to thank Spike Lee.
Okay.
For giving me a film where I can sit and luxuriate on the shoulders of Phyllis Stickney.
Phyllis Stickney, ladies and gentlemen.
I have a thing for shoulders. More importantly, I have a thing for like shoulder, like pull down dresses and stuff like that that expose the shoulder. And Phyllis Stickney, who sits the one of the most one of the things I love about Black women is that when they come and when they're comfortable, they sit down in a chair and they sit in the chair. Like they get in, they get their feet first, they fold their feet, they're sitting on their feet, and they're real comfortable, kick their shoes off. And Phyllis Stickney is sitting in the chair. She is sitting on her feet. And she is just going. Her neck is working. Her shoulders are out of this beautiful sweater. I mean, I love her as an actress. I think she is an actress that Hollywood slept on hard.
Absolutely.
But my God, she's a beautiful woman.
Look, like we said, that film, that scene was highly improvised, and you can tell because although this is the only scene Phyllis Stickney is in, she takes over the scene.
Yeah, she does. Like
I'm sure they said, okay, Lynette McKee has to end the scene.
Yeah,
it's about her, but the scene itself, like, because I love that scene. I adore this scene. Like my two main Spike Lee women arguments when, over the years where people say, like, I think Nola Darling from She's Gotta Have It is actually revolutionary.
Yeah, I'll go there.
And then this scene.
Yes.
Because this scene is extraordinary. So
some of Teresa Randall's best work.
So look, everybody, and again, I think this is a raw, honest scene. And the dynamic between the women, Phyllis Stickney takes over.
Yeah.
Like Phyllis Stickney, so look, if they'd have figured out a way to get Tyra Farrell in there, the whole film stock would have blown up.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Most definitely. Let's say Farrell Blackwell says, if made today, this movie would have been a conspiracy by the other two partners wrapped in a Me Too moment designed to get Snipes' character out of the firm. Interesting. An action figure expert, long time I haven't heard from you, says, is it plausible that Gator could be Samuel Jackson's character from Coming to America? No, it wouldn't, because it's a different city.
I mean, it's Queens.
Oh, was that Queens?
Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking.
Dude, that's the whole plot.
No, I don't know why.
Where does a king find a woman beautiful enough from?
In Queens.
Queens.
Yeah, very true.
All right, in my head canon, that's exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, he's a traveling crackhead because he's a crackhead.
Stupid. Singing a song about crackhead.
Look, man. Gator is fun. Look.
So would you recommend?
If you knew drug addicts in the 90s,
he's spot on.
Gator, look. Yeah,
he's spot on. I can't not from and you talk about menace when he comes back to the house. Whew, man, yeah, that is real. We've all been too close to that scene.
Gator is amazing.
Would you recommend people watch Jungle Fever?
Absolutely. No doubt.
Yeah, I would too.
No doubt. I actually think Spike Lee's first 6 films are required viewing. Which
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's the required viewing.
Which is what makes it all the more surprising that the film is not streaming.
I do not understand that.
I really don't, especially considering that Netflix just made, as a deal with Spike Lee.
Everything Spike
would be up there.
Yeah. I do not understand that.
Or if at least, like you said, his first 5.
Right.
You know?
Right. Like we've run into
the
this,
box set.
Like we've run into this before with Girl 6, but it's like, all right. It's
Girl 6.
All right.
Yeah, but the box set is She's Gotta Have It to Malcolm X.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You figure that would be up there.
It'd be on Apple or something. Yeah.
It's brown sugar.
Right.
It's nowhere. Man.
Yeah.
You can't even like
I know.
rent it.
I know.
On Amazon Prime.
Look, just give y'all a little peek. We had to do the old school today. Old school.
We traveled around the block in the world today.
Yeah, I had to go in the basement and actually dig through the box. Pulled out the DVD, crack it. I'd never watched the DVD before.
I'm surprised you don't have like the Spike Lee box set though.
I probably do, but I got to the J's.
Got to the DVD.
I got to the J's first. So like Spike Lee would be under S.
Got you.
Right.
Got you.
Yeah. Because you see, that's a pretty low budget CD. I mean DVD.
Yeah, I peeped that.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to mention that. I was like, I'm surprised this is not,
But absolutely. And you said you would recommend it as well.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without a doubt, I would recommend that people watch.
And just a programming note, we've now reviewed 5 of those 6.
We have, haven't we?
Yeah, we're holding Do the Right Thing back.
Yeah,
we're holding Do the Right Thing back. I don't know when we're going to spring Do the Right Thing on, folks, but yeah, we have reviewed all of them.
I know.
So
yeah, but we'll get to it.
Well, from what I understand, we're going to do all of them.
That's the rumor. The rumor I've heard. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we tell you what our next stop on the road to 300 will be, I invite you to hit us up with all of your thoughts and concerns. Email us at meshowmission@gmail.com. Like and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Me Show Mission. Tell a friend about us. 2 men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. Go to meshowmission.com and hit swag, where you can check out all of the cool designs and gifts that we have available via TeePublic. And don't forget, the Me Show Mission are proud members of the Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcast work. All right. Well, Tommy Davidson booked himself for a return visit in April, but next week, ladies and gentlemen, the Me Show Mission goes to episode 276. I believe, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Episode 276 of the Me Show Mission, which it will be my turn, Vincent.
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind. And I'm returning just for you because this is, a special time. I'm going to give you a treat, and I'm going back to your favorite time of movies.
All right.
Which would be the 70s.
Yes, sir.
Vince can't stay out of the 70s. You know that, ladies and gentlemen. As we return to another one of Vincent's favorite ladies.
All right now.
The electric, seducting Pam Grier. In Sheba Baby. From 1975. And next week, we will have very special guests, the Beat Connection podcast crew. Not 1, not 2, but 3 guests. The Beat Connection, a podcast that gets together and actually breaks down the roots of hip hop.
Yes.
And looks at all the samples to explore the history of music through that lens. And we chose Sheba Baby because of the soundtrack by Barbara Mason.
All right.
Which has been sampled quite a few times in hip hop.
I'm sure we will talk about that.
We will talk about that next week here on the Me Show Mission, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 276, our next stop on the road to 300. And before we get out of here,
yes,
I know it's your birthday, Vincent.
It is.
It is your birthday. But even on your birthday, I think you're a beautiful person because you wanted to share a gift with the missionaries and the world. Because Vincent Williams told me that Wendy Williams is the finest woman in African American history.
That's right. And it's documented.
It's documented right there.
There you go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all are safe. Be well. Happy birthday again, Vincent.
Thank you, sir.
Happy birthday. And on that note, he's Vincent. I'm Len. In parting, we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.